Welcome to this video abstract on our paper, Independent Validation of the Player Experience Inventory, Findings from a Large Set of Video Game Players, written by Sebastian A.C. Perrig, Nicolas Scharowski, Florian Brühlmann, Nick von Felten, Klaus Opwis und Lena Fanya Aeschbach of the University of Basel. People's experience when interacting with technology are varied and deep. For example, one experience could look like a tense competition between friends engaging in a retro game, while another experience could be with novel interfaces, such as virtual reality, in which a player is deeply immersed in. Therefore, it comes as no surprise that researchers often find themselves wanting to access this subjective experience to draw conclusions for their studies. However, given the subjective, not directly observable nature of these experiences, researchers first need to translate them into something observable. This translation from experience to measurement often results in questionnaires. These questionnaires then allow us access to aspects such as how a player is feeling, whether they're having fun or feeling frustrated with a game, which is often more important to research and game design than whether a player is objectively successful in some way. Recently, a new measurement, the Player Experience Inventory, henceforth referred to as the PXI, was developed to assess people's subjective experience of playing games, which was then followed by more publications in other languages as well as additional resources. The PXI is a 30-item questionnaire measuring 10 constructs: ease of control, challenge, progress feedback, goals and rules, audiovisual appeal, meaning, immersion, mastery, curiosity, and autonomy. It is further structured into two categories: functional consequences and psychosocial consequences. Additionally, some resources on the PXI provide an 11th construct outside of these higher order categories, namely enjoyment. Beyond the PXI's theoretical model, we also aim to assess how the PXI was used in practice, and to examine whether these practical applications were psychometrically sound. One such practical application, which deviates from the theoretical model, was researchers summarizing all constructs to a total score of player experience. Therefore, we aim to investigate whether measuring such a score would be appropriate. Further, we found that researchers did measure enjoyment, warranting an investigation into an 11-factor structure of the PXI, which was not yet done in English. To test the PXI in theoretical and practical terms, we conducted a pre-registered online survey. We collected a final sample of 1,518 participants on the crowdworking platform Prolific to test the questionnaire regarding psychometric fit indices. Of the final sample, 639 were women, 864 were men, 9 were non-binary people, 1 person self-identified as transmasculine, and 5 chose not to disclose their gender. In the study, we asked them to recall and describe a gaming experience using the critical incident technique. For comparison, we then administered the PXI alongside other scales. We conducted a wide variety of psychometric tests to provide a wide breadth of evidence of validity. However, for time reasons in this video, we will only refer to results when they are relevant to the points discussed. Overall, we find that the proposed 10 or 11 individual constructs measurement model shows satisfactory fit indices when analyzed with our sample. Therefore, this originally proposed model can continue to be used in PX research with limited concerns we'll detail later. However, when we compared measurement models that included higher order factors, either the two consequences or a general factor of player experience, or both, the model fit of the collected data was significantly worse. In practice, researchers cannot summarize the results on the specific constructs, such as mastery or meaning, into a general score of player experience or similar. Instead, the usefulness of the PXI lies in the variety of the more specific constructs it measures, allowing both researchers and practitioners to compare two games or even two versions of the same game along the different experiences people have while playing them. However, as alluded to before, we found one construct that exhibited problematic psychometric values, namely immersion. Immersion has been a complex construct to define and measure. While the PXI defines immersion as a sense of immersion and cognitive absorption experienced by the player, this definition is not universally agreed upon. Previous questionnaires have instead treated cognitive absorption and immersion as unique constructs, given that item 1 of immersion, which represents cognitive absorption, I was no longer aware of my surroundings while I was playing, was answered differently than the other immersion items in our study, we find a need not only to further investigate how immersion is measured, but indeed how it is defined. This would aid in disentangling immersion from other constructs which overlapped in our results, namely meaning and enjoyment. In conclusion, we can recommend using the PXI to measure its individual constructs and gaining information about people's experience that way. However, we cannot recommend using the PXI to calculate a general player experience score. Instead, the strength of the PXI lies in the variety of constructs it provides and its efficiency in measuring them using only 3 items each. This allows for games to be compared along those constructs, providing a useful tool for both industry and research. We hope you check out our full paper now published on the ACM Digital Library, and feel free to reach out to us with any questions you might have through the provided information. We thank you very much for your attention.